Okay, great. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're very excited to see you all after a very long time. Now that the session is started, please keep yourselves muted, but we've allowed you to unmute yourselves. If you have any doubt about what is happening in the session, you can raise your hand. You know the protocol. Just use the reaction section and raise your hand, and we'll ask you to unmute. But we do have a separate interactive session or a question answer session with Smita towards the end. So you can also hold on to your questions till the end. And as you might have read in the email, this session is about painting or illustrating the natural world. And the reason why we're doing this session is because, of course, illustrating or painting is a great and a very fun and satisfying hobby or skill as well. But also because illustration or drawing the natural world can help you understand it much better. It can help you observe nature around you much better. Because when you look at something, you might forget its features after a while, but when you actually draw it, it makes you or it helps you observe it more deeply. And of course, once you've drawn it, you've imprinted it on paper, so it's going to stay with you forever. So you've also documented what you've seen. Right? So the idea for today's session is to help you observe nature better around you and to start making illustrations, or to understand how you can start making illustrations. What are the different things you need to look at, and how you can perceive colors and compositions and shapes around you. And for that, we have Smita with us today. Those of you who've attended the Young Birders workshop, Smita is the person who do the beautiful illustrations in the activity sheets. And I'll also introduce her in a bit, but before that, I'll tell you the flow of the workshop. So the workshop is roughly an hour and a half long. And first we'll start with a small activity for which we've asked you to bring something from nature. Then Smita will do a tutorial on how you can observe and draw things around you, for which you have your pen and drawing paper. Then we'll do a small break. We'll have a quick energizer session from Shonali. Then Smita will talk to you about the different things that people do in the field of illustration. What are the different careers people have in the field of drawing or illustration? And then we'll break for question and answers. Yeah. And after the workshop, you guys will give you a couple of days to illustrate something after having learned from this workshop. And you can send that illustration to us, and Smita will look at that illustration and tell you how you can improve, and send you some resources or materials that you can use to learn more or become better at drawing. Okay. So just to introduce Smita, let me just share my screen so that I can show you some of the beautiful illustrations that she makes. So yeah, Smita is an artist. Although she works as a designer with an IT company, she has studied painting or drawing, and she loves to illustrate the natural world. Here's this beautiful illustration of Munias by her. And she's worked in various places. She's worked in the Hills in Karnataka. She's worked in Ladakh. She's done a lot of projects with Early Bird as well. And her recent project was this beautiful mural. A mural is a painting on a wall in the Cubbon Park metro station in Bangalore. So for those of you who are in Bangalore, please visit the Cubbon Park metro station to see these beautiful illustrations. And yeah, she loves to paint and illustrate the natural world, and she also loves to talk to people about it and get people excited about nature through art and illustration. So with that, Smita, I'll hand over the mic to you, and let's start with the workshop.
Thanks, Misha. Thank you so much. Hi, good morning, everybody. I hope you're all excited to be here. Uh, let's get started. When we illustrate nature, when you go out into the field, before we illustrate, we like to have a look at something. So, look at whatever you're trying to draw. Have a pause for a minute and look at it. And I have my flower box here. I went out in a walk this morning and I saw a lot of flowers. Let me show you. I saw this beautiful peacock flower, uh, the Shankha. I don't know the English name. If Misha, you know the English name, maybe you can help me out here. I saw these dahlias. I saw a lot of these beautiful things, and mm, yeah. So these beautiful things with their beautiful colors, their beautiful shapes. Um, I'd like to say that this flower is red. It's maroonish. It's round. I see it has a nice, beautiful round shape. I can see some yellow inflorescence in the middle. I can see the uh, green sepals. I can see a green stem. The texture is nice and soft and velvety, and that's how I'd like to describe this flower. I hope you all could see.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Coming to this Shankapushpa, I'd say this is more oval. Um, I see that this petal is torn and it has two layers of petals. One, there is an outer covering and an inner covering. And this texture again is very velvety. I can see uh, the insides quite green and slowly blending to blue violet almost, and a lovely ink, Indian ink color, and the undersides again are green and almost a very light green. Mm, Coming to this peacock flower, I can see that there are these parts of the flower that are emerging out with small structures. I don't know what they're called on the flower. Um, you can see that the inside of this flower is nice and orange, and the outside of these petals are yellow. So this is how I see this flower, and yeah, I'd like to see what all of you have brought in for your activity. So, Misha, can we break out into our rooms?
Yes, yes. So what I'll do is, since there's a lot of us, we'll break out into two rooms, and we'll talk about whatever we've brought from nature. We'll take turns and we'll talk about what we've brought from nature. Just look at whatever you've brought, take a minute, look at it, observe its color, observe its shape, observe its size, and touch it and observe the textures and how it feels on your hand, or if there are any patterns on it. Okay, just observe it, and then we'll talk about it. In the meantime, I'll break us up into two breakout rooms. Great. Okay. All right, over to you, Smita.
Great. I hope everybody had a look at what others have also brought, seen the way that now people describe their things, their texture, the things that the colors, the texture, the shape, the size, all that is very important when it comes to nature journaling and nature illustration. Maybe if it's possible, everybody could just type out in the chat box what they've brought. I had a very interesting time with my group. Somebody got a snake skin, somebody got so many flowers, somebody got a plant that I had not seen before. Some really interesting things. Yeah. So when it comes to nature illustration, it's very important to take some time out, pause for a minute or two, and observe the shape, the size, color of what you're looking at. It then becomes much more easier for you to translate that onto paper. So now let's have a look at uh, a short drawing demonstration and see why the shape, the size, all of that, it really matters when it comes to drawing.
So Smita, just a heads up. It's
Yeah,
11:30, 11, yeah, it's 11:30. So let's try to wrap up by 12:10. Yeah,
sure,
12,
sure.
12:10. Yeah.
I am sharing my screen and I hope it's visible. Oh. When it comes to shape, the shape will determine how you start your drawing. When it comes to size, it is really important when you're drawing two, three different elements together so that you can show the scale of different things. When it comes to color and texture, those are important mainly when you're coloring the object or at least making your color notes. We'll come to color notes when we do our uh, drawing together. But this is just going to be a short demo of how you approach a drawing. This is a painted grasshopper. I am currently using a reference image because we are right now in this workshop and it is not possible to go out. But then, whenever you go out, you have a chance to look at your subject in its habitat, what it's doing, whether it's alone, whether it's in a group, if it is a tree, is it in bloom, does it have its leaves on, if it has its leaves on, what are the colors of the leaves? If it is an insect, did it stay in one place for long or did it keep flying around? If it's an animal, there's so many things that you can observe when you go out. All that is not possible in a photograph. But yes, if you want to observe something in much more closer detail, uh, photographs do help. If you have done your preliminary sketch out on the field, you can always click a photograph of your subject, come back and try to finish it. And your reference image can be a reference for your work, not a base for your work as such, but just to help you draw better, have a closer look at what you were drawing. A photograph can be helpful. But again, going out is always the best. Yeah. So let's get started with this. I'm looking at the shape of this grasshopper. It's mainly rectangular. I hope people can see the pink lines that I'm drawing on the grasshopper.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm marking out the important landmarks. Okay, just for you to see. We'll see the landmarks in a minute. Yeah. So this is just an outline of this grasshopper. When I'm looking at this grasshopper, I try to analyze its basic shape, which I mentioned earlier. It is rectangular. I'm also looking at important parts like its head, its thorax, the way its legs are bent, how many legs does it have, how many main segments does it have, how the antennae angled with respect to each other. I'm looking at all of that. In case somebody I mentioned a term that is not very clear to you. If you have difficulty in understanding, please use the chat box to type in your questions. Misha will be able to read them out to me, or we'll have a question answer round at the end. You can always jot down your questions and ask me at the end. Yeah. So I'm looking at how the legs are angled, how they are bent. With that, I can understand the proportion of this grasshopper, and it becomes much more easier to draw it. Now, this was just to show you how this grasshopper is structured, but this is not the way I would draw, because this is a tracing of the shape. So I'm starting my drawing again. I start with a sketch of the tree bark and uh, the grasshopper. We are using a digital medium here because it's much more easier to show you how I'm doing things, so that I can go back and show you again if needed, or I can just fast forward and skip some things. But then usually it's a lot more interesting when you have your pens and your papers and your so many different media, your watercolors to paint. So I'm just sketching out the proportions. This is the head. The thorax would be somewhere here, and the abdomen of this grasshopper is slightly bent. This is what I've drawn. I've drawn a rough wing. I've drawn in the antennae. I'm marking out the head. I'm looking at the angles. This is where your maths will come in handy. Your 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, if you can approximate. Or if a line is divided into half, this is maybe 1/10 of this entire length of this insect. So if I can approximate that and mark it out, it'll be very easy for me to draw a proportionate drawing. Your drawings need not always be the actual size of your subject. Always nice to have a proportionate drawing. I'm now marking out the legs. This is a very rough stage. If you were doing it in pencil, you would be doing this stage very, very lightly, so that you can make your corrections at the stage. Uh, you are just roughing it out, and this is the stage that is the fastest step. This is your first step in any drawing. And right now, even though I'm drawing a grasshopper, this is how you would approach any drawing, whether it is a bird, whether it's a mammal, whether it's an insect, whether it's a rock, it could be a building, it could be anything. This is how you look at an object, rough out the shape, mark the angles wherever you see something interesting. These are called landmarks. Now, for me, these legs, the head, the antennae, they were the most interesting. So, these are the landmarks for me, and I have marked them out. I'm just roughing out the drawing. I like what I have done. I keep looking at my subject matter uh, while drawing, so that I am sure that I am on track. It is quite easy to get lost in your drawing and just draw while not really looking at the subject matter. And then you go to see what you're drawing, and your drawing is quite different. So just be aware of that. Keep looking at your reference. Mm, it's always a good idea to be very close to your reference if possible, especially if it is a plant or a small insect. And you can judge whether your drawing is progressing correctly quite easily. Three basic shapes for drawing are the cone, the cylinder, and the sphere. We'll talk about that in a little while. But here, I'm just trying to give a little volume to this cylindrical shape that the insect's body has. And this is a very easy way for you to depict volume. This method you can use to draw tree trunks you can use to draw the human body, a human hand. Now this is also a cylinder. I can show volume if you know what volume is. If somebody doesn't know, maybe we can talk about it towards the end of this class. This is how you show that these things are not just a flat thing, but actually have life, have mass, have some weight. So I just, if you were drawing by pencil, your initial drawing would be very light, or you could take an eraser and just lightly erase your drawing so that your preliminary drawing becomes lighter. And again, you can refer to your subject and try to refine your sketch. Now, this process you can take as long as you want, you can refine it as much as you want, and this itself can be your finished uh, drawing. You don't necessarily always have to go towards painting your illustration, but this is how you approach the subject. I'm choosing my lines. My lines are a lot more confident and uh, more stronger now because this is towards the end of the drawing. Here, what I just did, sorry, yeah, I just traced out the leg of this grasshopper here. And if you see, this is the tracing, this is my leg, which I have drawn by myself. And through this method of landmarks, looking at angles, looking at proportions, I have I have made a drawing that is quite close to what was seen. Any questions so far?
No, ma'am, what is the name of the insect?
This is a painted grasshopper.
Ma'am, should we have to draw this?
No, not now. But you can always draw it later and send it to me if you would like to have me have a look at your drawing.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, great. Looks like you have understood what I have tried to explain here. Let's jump to our tutorial.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
You mean that we don't have to paint, we just have to draw a sketch of it?
See, painting is very diverse. You have a lot of different media. You have your pencil colors, you have your pastels, you have watercolors, you have markers. You have so many different things. So right now we're not focused on the painting. The painting is left to you. But I just wanted to show you how to approach anything because drawing is the main. It's the strongest point of any illustration. If your drawing is good, your coloring will become a lot more easier. But if you're not sure how to draw the object or whatever you're looking at, then painting it becomes quite difficult. Yeah, a drawing is a strong foundation of any good work. Yeah, so let's move on to our drawing. I hope everybody has their pens and pencils and papers ready. Uh, for today's demo, we just have uh, we'll just try to draw a crimson rose butterfly. The principles of drawing in Photoshop and with paper and pen are more or less the same. They're just different media. So whatever I do in Photoshop here, you should be able to do it with your with the material that you have. So shall we get started? Misha, shall we start?
Yeah, we can. Do you
Yeah.
want to ask, like maybe do you want to ask some questions with respect to what you've explained?
Yes. I just wanted everybody to be ready. So now we're looking at this image of a crimson rose butterfly. That's not important. It could be anything that we're looking at. So can somebody describe to me the shape of this butterfly that we see here?
Please raise your hand and then we can unmute it. Yeah, Anindya?
Ma'am, it is having a shape of oval from its upper side of feathers.
Okay.
Pritha?
Yes, so I think the upper side of the wings, if I just look at them, they might be oval or they can also make a rectangle. And then you can just make those curved lines. And the downer part, like it can be a triangle with just like two lines coming out from both ends. And the antennas are, at a specific angle. And they make a symmetry. Yeah, and that's all.
Pritha, that was a very important thing that you just mentioned, symmetry. It's very easy to draw something that is symmetrical compared to subjects that are not symmetrical, because you get one side of the subject that you're looking at, the other side is also the same. So it becomes much more easier to calculate what you're drawing. The moment it goes to something that is slightly not symmetrical, then you have to gauge each thing separately. But now, right now, if you gauge that, okay, this is a triangle or a rectangle, sorry, you know that the other side is also a rectangle. Yeah, sorry. Continue, please.
Does anyone else want to add to this? Yeah, Urvi?
Ma'am, it's basically like two symmetrical hearts with lines at the bottom. Like two hearts together.
Yeah. That is nice. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, let's get started.
Leaf-like structure, zigzag.
Oh.
Sorry, leaf-like structure?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a zigzag, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get started with drawing it. Can somebody tell me what would be the first thing that you would do?
The head part.
Okay.
The outline.
Or maybe draw shapes.
Okay.
The leaf.
Anybody?
The leaf.
This leaf.
Maybe the leaf.
Start by drawing the outline.
Okay, what outline?
The outline of the butterfly or the.
We draw a rectangle and then triangles underneath. Then we'll specify the oval shape and the zigzags and all.
The outline of the leaf and the butterfly.
Okay. Thanks for all of those answers. Right now, we'll not be looking at the leaf because, first of all, it's cut, and also we are trying to draw this butterfly that we see completely. Okay. So let's only deal with the butterfly for today. Of course, when you're painting in your nature journal, you can choose to draw it the leaves, you can choose to draw any other background that you see. But then today we want to emphasize the butterfly, and that's what we'll do. Okay. So as a lot of you said, we'll start with the basic shapes. So this is a symmetrical structure. So I have drawn a central axis. You can, it would be great if you draw the same along with me on your paper. We'll go very slowly and we'll do it together. You see this main triangle here, the upper wings, and the lower wings are almost box-like. So I do that. I see that the wings are extending a little more than what I have drawn. So I made this correction here. And then I can come later, but just a demarcation. And your butterfly will sit in the space. Everybody with me? Yes? No?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Everybody? Yes.
Ma'am, should we start drawing the basic shapes by using a blunt pencil?
Yeah, it's totally up to you. Your materials you understand the best. Please explore materials whenever you have time and find out what works best for you. Go ahead and draw with anything. It could be a colored pencil, it could be a blunt pencil, it could be, you might want to directly paint, draw with a paintbrush. Totally up to you.
Okay, ma'am.
Once you get a lot more confident, you wouldn't have to draw all these basic shapes, especially for something that is very simple. But then this is how you're going to approach any subject. All this will just become something that you will do in your mind's eye, and you will start directly by drawing the butterfly. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the next major thing that we see are these bends. Yeah. So it's not completely rectangular, but you see that this is a slight angle here. So let me do that. Yeah. Even this and even here we have this slight angle. Notice that the center is not really overlapping here. You can see a little bit of the abdomen. Yeah, I noticed that this is not the best line. So I can just choose to correct it here. Things are very easy to correct at this stage. It's already looking like this butterfly, right?
Yes.
So far, so good? Yes?
Yeah.
Any doubts, please ask me. I also see this line here. So let's mark it out. And I feel this is quite good. I like what I see. So let's start drawing the butterfly. If you're drawing with a pencil, you might choose to lightly erase your uh, primary sketch so that you can start drawing the details and the drawings are visible. If you do not want to erase, it's totally up to you. You can take a darker marker or a pen and draw the details over your sketch. Yeah. So let's start. Now it's almost like you're tracing along your sketch, but slightly refined lines. That's it is up to you where you want to start your drawing. I feel a little more comfortable drawing the wings. Keep looking at your reference. I can see some slight curved lines on this wing here. Even this is very curved. I hope you're all drawing with me.
Yeah.
I see that this line wasn't that great. Erase it. I can see small eyes. I can see its body. I can see some markings on the body. And I see that this line could have been better. Not so good. And and its veins. I can put in the details. But I'm not very happy with this. I can always erase this slightly and go over with the darker color.
Should we have to color this?
You can, totally up to you.
Yes.
See, again, coloring is secondary. The moment your drawing is strong enough, uh, coloring is just going to be like fill in the blanks.
Ma'am, now should we erase the primary drawing outline?
You can, totally.
Okay.
Now you can go in and
Can we see the photo?
yeah, sorry. Hope it's visible. So I hope everybody understood how to draw. This drawing can be much better, but I hope you understood the basic principles of how we approach any subject, whatever you want to draw, whether it's an insect, whether it's a mammal, whether it's a butterfly, whether it's a plant, whether it's a leaf, whether it is a flower. It could be anything. Your basic shapes. I'm sorry, my computer is a little slow today. Your basic shapes are a circle, your cylinder, circle as in a 3D sphere, and the cone. Yeah. Your cylinder can be bent, your cone can be bent.
Ma'am, can you show what you have drawn for once?
Shall we move ahead? There's a lot more to talk about. Okay, I know there are some 20 people in the class, but I can't hear anybody.
I think everybody's busy drawing.
Yeah, you can move on.
So, Michelle, shall we do the break now?
Maybe let's what do you want to talk about next?
I'd like to show them a few tricks and tips to illustrate better. And We'll talk about the careers after that.
Do you want to conclude this?
Yeah. So remember the main three shapes that are part of any artist's toolkit are the sphere, the cylinder, and the cone or the triangle. You look at any object, any big or small object, and you try to understand what the major shapes that you see. Start by blocking that out. Look at the angles. They will give you an idea about the proportion of the figure. Now this is halfway. If this is the complete width of the butterfly, I see that this butterfly fits in this plane. What is the basic shape? Draw that, look at the angles, and then start refining your drawing. If it is a mammal, mammals tend to be much more rounder usually. You will have some spheres, especially if you're drawing something like a rodent, a squirrel, a rat, or your dog, your cat. There'll be a lot of cones, triangles, and circles. Mm. Don't get confused by the fur on any mammal. Look at the underlying structure. Okay, and drawing should be very easy when you break it down into something very doable and very uh, analytical like this. Yeah, yeah, Misha, I think we are done with this.
So I hope everybody got an idea about. You can stop sharing your screen, Smita. Yeah. Is everybody still drawing, or are you guys done? It's okay. You can.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's
I'm
okay.
drawing, ma'am.
Done.
Ma'am, I'm done.
Okay. So what you guys can do is you can continue after the session. Yeah. For now, I hope you've understood the basics of how you can start and continue drawing a sketch. And after the session, you can also, play with colors and color your sketch. We can send across the sketch to you. You can share a link of the sketch, Smita, in the chat box, please. Or you can just Google crimson rose butterfly. Is that what it was, Smita? Yeah, it's the crimson rose butterfly. Okay. So, Smita, I think you can move on to the tips and tricks of the session. And after that, we'll have a short break.
Sure.
This meeting is being recorded.
Sorry, I got cut off.
Misha? Yeah, Shonali. So, Smita is just sharing some tips and tricks to draw, and then we'll have a quick energizer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
First thing, when you're outdoors sketching and there's a lot of things that are happening, you can use a white paper like I have used here to demarcate your subject, and you will be able to understand the shape and the color better. It's always easier to judge against white or a plain background. Otherwise, here there's a lot of clutter happening. I can't really see where the leaf ends and the next leaf starts. But here it is very easy for me to see. Yeah. Second thing, the brown paper that you use to wrap your school books, you can use it as your sketchbook or sketch paper. Even if you use white, it is very nice. You can see the white beautifully. You can't do that with white paper. So if you want to draw something like an egret, it is very easy. You can use a glass marking pencil that is readily available in any stationery shop. A glass marking pencil or your chalk or a wax crayon or a pastel as a white crayon. Yeah. Whenever you're going out, keep your toolkit very simple so that you're not confused as to which tool to use. Just carry one or two pencils and maybe two or three color pencils and just fill in quickly. Or you can make color notes and I'm sorry we missed that part. If there's time towards the end, I'll show you how to take color notes. Mm, Moving on, choosing your level of detail. You don't have to necessarily show all the detail on your sketch. You can also show smaller bits of your subject matter and show in the details. Now, the protrusions on this caterpillar, this artist has chosen to show here and not necessarily on this because then sketch would have to be huge. And lastly, if you want to show distance in your work, you can show it with the amount of detail. Something that is very close to you, maybe a flower or an animal, and something in your something that you want to focus on will have a lot more detail. Something in the background, maybe the sky, the rocks in the background, will have a lot less detail, and that is how you can show distance in your work. This is especially useful when you want to capture the habitat of your uh, subject. Like if you want to show an animal here in the foreground, you can show that, and then your habitat will be you're showing the habitat as well, but you're not focusing on that. So it gives a very nice look to your drawing. And those were the tricks that I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, let's move on to the next part. Over to you.
Thank you. Um, let's quickly move on to what you can do uh, with your nature illustrations. Yeah. So the first thing, one of the things that you can do is getting into cartooning and movies like this person, Aaron Blaze. If you've seen a lot of Disney movies which have animals in it, he's drawn the animals and he has extensive knowledge about how each animal functions, how the mammals move, how birds move. He is great, and it's not just knowledge of things like he just doesn't draw them statically, but he has to imagine them jumping and hopping and being sad and being happy, and there's a lot of things that he does. uh, this is another of his work. This is Lara Gassinger, a botanical artist who creates content and sells her work online. So these are mainly botanical drawings, not too much of painting, but just pure drawing, and they're beautiful to look at. So it becomes very easy to understand what she's talking about. If this appears in a textbook, it becomes very easy for students to understand what they're supposed to be looking at, what the plant looks like. This is Daniel Fisher who does pet portraits. Sometimes you don't have your pet with you, you want a memory of your pet. So that is when
It's
you
a drawing.
commission a. It is a drawing, yes, very much a drawing.
That picture you're showing us.
Yes, this is a drawing. This is a process. So it's incredible what you can do with a lot of practice. These people have practiced a lot and lot and lot. And that's how they are here where they are. This is Jane Kim. She's a mural artist and she paints huge murals on buildings and walls. These are mainly on biodiversity and she has painted on different subjects. This was about migration of butterflies. This mural called Birds of the World, this is at Cornell Lab of Ornithology that has made your Merlin and uh, other apps that you use for bird ID.
eBird. Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yeah, eBird. Yeah.
I saw the
You showed the first painting that she drew on the
This one?
building.
Huh?
Yeah, I saw one painting like that in Delhi when I was traveling to Uttarakhand.
Wow. So you see, there's so much that these nature artists are doing. You become more aware about nature. Now, a lot of these people now, I don't think this person here would have known anything about these butterflies, but now he's looked at it, he is going to be interested in knowing more about it. And that's how you spread awareness. This is not sitting in an office building somewhere inside, but it's out there on the street, and so many people passing by, they get to know what is there in the natural world around us. So this is the Birds of the World mural with over, I think, 200 species of birds, and this is you can see the size of her and the size of this mural. And John Moore Laws is somebody who has taught a lot of people like me how to draw plants and animals, and he has books. I'll show you one that I have. This is like our go-to reference book whenever we want to learn how to draw something. And this is him out in the field. You see his tiny watercolor palette, one brush, and he's set. Yeah.
I remember watching a session that he took.
Wow. Did you enjoy it?
About the Stellar's Day.
Okay, I'm not sure which session that was, but as long as he's taking it, I'm sure it would have been really great. I'm sure you learned a lot.
Yes, ma'am, it was a recorded video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he does have a lot of videos on YouTube. You can have a look at them and learn how to draw birds, animals, plants, all of them. And Nirupa Rao is from Bangalore. She again is a botanical illustrator. This is one of her illustrations. She's worked on different books like Hidden Kingdom, and with NCF, Nature Conservation Foundation, she's worked on Pillars of Life. Again, she works on photorealistic illustrations. Illustrations are always handy, especially while understanding plants and trees, because there's a lot of foliage in the background and you can't really understand what the tree looks like, especially if you're looking at trees in the forest. The tree cover is so dense, but when she illustrates individual items like this, it becomes very easy to understand what to look at. So those were some of the things that you could do with nature illustration, and there are a lot of things, especially in India. You're lucky this field is emerging, and there's so much you can do.
Great, thank you so much for that, Smita. So now we can come to the interactive part of the session where you guys ask us questions. We already have a very interesting question in the chat box from Anindya. And they asked, ma'am, how do they climb on buildings to paint it? So I think they're talking about the murals and how exactly do they, reach at those heights?
Yeah, so there's scaffolding put up. You have ladders. It depends on the height of the wall, how big your wall is. Some people are really tall, they don't need anything, they can just paint. Some people might need a step ladder, or something that you have in your house, or the bigger the wall, you have your entire structure that is put up, maybe made of bamboo or aluminum, something really light, and you go up, or you're led down. That's an entire field in itself. It's quite complicated, and there are a lot of safety measures that are taken before you climb onto a big wall like that. There's a team that looks after all of it.
I'll quickly share my screen and show everybody what that looks like. So this is what it looks like. This is how you climb. So you have these cranes, and this is a scaffold that Smita was talking about.
There are a lot of safety measures that are taken, and there's a big team that will handle all of it. Especially if you're going to paint such a large canvas, you will obviously not be alone. You will have artists along with you to be doing the painting with you.
Smita, you can get your artwork, and in the meantime, I'll explain everybody what the post-workshop activity is. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. So, as we had mentioned earlier as well, you guys can draw something or paint something or create a piece of illustration or artwork and send it to us at not www, at earlybird at ncfindia.org. I have typed that in the chat box. That's our email ID. You can send it to us by Tuesday, and then Smita will take a look at your painting or your drawing or your illustration or your artwork and give you suggestions as to what you can improve or what is working, and also give you some tips or resources to, to learn more and become better. And it can be what you drew today. It can be an illustration of whatever thing from nature you got for the first activity today, or it can be something completely new. Use whatever you have learned in today's session and draw something and send it to us by Tuesday. Yeah, and we will and Smita will reply to you. Our email ID is earlybird@ncfindia.org. I have typed that in the chat box. So we hope we can see some interesting pieces of artwork from you. Yeah, Smita has shared her screen. Go on, Smita.
Yeah. So this is my portfolio that I have created with a lot of illustrations that I have made over the years. So all this was digitally painted. I have an IT job, and I found it a little difficult to sit down with my pen and paper all the time. So I always had my computer ready with me, and that is how I started painting digitally. There's nothing wrong when painting with pen and paper. It's just that you take advantage of what tools you have with you. So this was a project I was working on. This was a game that I had illustrated for. These are illustrations that I have created for Early Bird. This was my cup and bag project, some of which you saw earlier. This was a project that I worked with Sangeeta Kadur, and a very prominent wildlife illustrator.
They're really realistic.
Thank you. Yeah. So here, this was a collage. This is just a mock-up of how the final wall looks like. And this is another snippet from an illustration that I did, a much larger illustration. So that was some of my work. I don't know if there are any tips on drawing people.
Any tips on drawing people?
Yeah. So people, it is. How do I put it? Okay. So a basic tip to get better at drawing absolutely anything is a lot of practice. Now with people, one, it is very easy to go out into a cafe or a mall and see a lot of people there, or a bus stand or a railway station where you have lots of crowds of people and you see them sitting for a long time and you sketch them out. But again, with people, another disadvantage is that they're going to come up to you and say, "Oh, that doesn't look like me." That looks very funny. Animals and plants are not going to do that. But yeah, it's just a lot of practice. Again, there are YouTube tutorials on how you can get better. And it also depends on your style, whether you want to just get the gesture of that person, whether you want to draw them out like a cartoon character, or whether you want to draw them really realistically. All of that depends on you and your interest. So accordingly, the path that you take to improve will differ, and also the people that you refer to, the tutorials or the books. Lots of books, lots of things online, lots of study material. It depends on the depth that you want to go to.
So, Smita, will that shape concept, the outline concept?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes. As I mentioned earlier, the three primary forms: the sphere, the cone, and the cylinder. Now, my hand, as I said earlier, is a cylinder. My face is a sphere. My neck could be a cylinder. Yeah. All those shapes are there everywhere. Now, all my fingers individually are also cylinders. Now, they're coming to you at a perspective. A lot of different things come into play the moment you're talking about three-dimensional forms. And humans are very, very complicated with lots of actions that they do, lots of different things, the clothes that they wear. It becomes difficult to see the underlying structure when, okay, if somebody is wearing a sari. Drawing humans is a lot more complex than drawing animals, because there's so much more variety here that you would have to capture.
Okay.
And the expressions also on the face.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Smita.
Welcome.
Okay, with this, we come to the end of this session. Please fill the feedback form. We really want to know how you were doing. And if not for critique, just send us pictures of what you've drawn today also, if you don't want to create something new. It'll be nice to see what all you've come up with. And have a good time. Go out and observe nature, make notes, observe things, and practice. Practice is key to become good at anything. So yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Yes. Thank